Today I'm buttoning up the T5 engine in my Volvo 242. In the last video I installed the 5-cylinder turbo engine after building a new wiring harness for MaxxECU. With the engine in, more tasks are now unblocked, including installing the Getrag 265 transmission and a number of fabrication projects to get the engine bay all back together. The last connection the ECU still needs is a manifold pressure reference. MaxxECU uses a push-to-connect style fitting that uses a plastic hardline. I added in a Y fitting to feed an analog boost gauge on the dash in addition to the map sensor port on the ECU. Next, I'll get the front end back together. The intercooler is up first. Because it's been sitting around the shop for a few months, I'll quickly blow it out to make sure there's no debris sitting in the end tanks before placing it in its home below the slam panel. Because this car is a less common 242 GT model, it was originally equipped with a pair of driving lamps in the grille. These sit on brackets that mount between the two sheet metal panels on the front end. I'm using a radiator from a 1992 Volvo 940 because it's significantly larger than what the 240 came with. The NA and turbo radiators have the same width, but the NA variant is slightly shorter, allowing it to just barely fit in the 240 without any fabrication. Before lifting the car back up to get to the transmission, I'll check off one more thing before I forget about it. As part of converting the e-throttle, I removed the Volvo cruise control setup, which included a combined bracket for the throttle actuator and the switches for the clutch and brake pedals. However, I do still need a clutch switch for cruise control and other features, so I'll whip up a bracket that mimics the relevant part of the old one. With that out of the way, I can get to the transmission install. Alright, I'm excited to have the 242 with the engine in it and up on the lift, so now I can get everything done underneath the car that I need to. First, the flywheel needs to be torqued on with new bolts. After torquing to 45 Newton meters, these bolts get finished off by torquing each another 65 degrees. Creating reference lines with a paint pen makes it easier to keep track of where I'm at. Next, the clutch disc and pressure plate go on. I'm using a BMW E34 M5 clutch disc with a Sachs Racing 707 pressure plate, which is quite stiff but easy to drive. Having a separate bell housing makes it a lot easier to install the transmission because it offers much better access to the bell housing bolts, which are usually the bane of any transmission work. This bell housing comes from a Volvo 960 with a one-off adapter plate that I designed to fit the Getrag 265 transmission. clutch, flywheel, pressure plate, and bell housing are all in now. The only thing is I wasn't able to get the top bell housing bolt in place. So what I need to do is get the engine to sit back down in the back. To do that, I'll need to jack this up, remove the wood block between the back of the head and the firewall, and then let it down to where it needs to be able to get the transmission in as well. Before I do that though, I'm just gonna work around each side of the engine and see what other details I can finish up underneath here before I go messing around with anything else. So, I've got some things to do with connecting the radiator, connecting the power and ground wires to the engine, and then miscellaneous kind of vacuum lines and other things that need to go into place. So I'll go ahead and do that quick, and then we can get to installing the transmission. Kind of sucked, but it always does, because it's a transmission and they suck to put in. So you can see the drive shaft's got to be reconnected, but before I do that, I'm going to put all the shifter linkage in place. I want to switch out to a different shifter that I've had sitting around for a little while. One of the things I need to do to really use that is shorten the shift selector rod. This is a kit from Garagistic that I've had sitting around for a while, so it's got a couple billet machine stainless steel ends, and then just a simple stainless steel tube for the center. I need to cut this to size, get it aligned correctly to the perfect length, and then weld this together. First, I'll just tack this together. I'll tack the tube to one of the ends, and then I'll use the other end to get it just right. Got this tacked on both sides now. It should be nice and even because I had it laying flat. And now I can go ahead and just test fit this in the car and then try out the shifter, see how it feels. If I'm happy with it, then I'll go ahead and fully weld each side of this, and then this will be done and we can move on to the next thing, finish up the car. So I got this all test fitted up and it looks pretty good. I can't really shorten it anymore without starting to have some clearance issues pulling the shifter toward me. So that's pretty much as far as I can go. For me, being tall, I prefer it to be further back, but it's pretty good. So I'll go ahead and weld this up and then do final installation. Then I can bolt in the drive shaft. shift selector rods. So you can see the new one is a little bit shorter. I actually kind of like the design of this one a little bit better, but this did not fit the current setup that I have very well, whereas the new one is actually designed to fit the other components I have, so it should hopefully fit a little bit better. All right, it's the next morning. That shifter selector rod that I welded up, it has had a chance to cool off, so I can go ahead and install that in the car now. So that's gonna be the next thing, get that in there and then get the drive shaft and everything else underneath inside the car. I've been jamming on this thing pretty hard for a couple of weeks now, and it's definitely starting to catch up with me. It's kind of natural. It's something that always happens in the course of any bigger project. So I just got to power through it, but it's feeling pretty close. And there's just a lot of things to consider with this project, and a lot of kind of just custom one-off work that I'm doing along the way, which naturally takes a lot of time. But ultimately, why I have the car is that I get the chance to figure out like how to solve these problems that I'm really just reliant upon myself for, or maybe the advice of some friends, where in a different car you would just buy a part off the shelf, put it in, and it works and it's great. And that's cool, but this is a different sort of challenge. So it's kind of a weird love-hate relationship in that way. It's what makes it rewarding, but it also can be pretty maddening at times. It will be a major relief to have this car be a car again. After getting the driveline buttoned up and feeling a little surge of momentum, I decided it's time to take on a couple remaining fabrication tasks. The other thing that I need to work on is modifying the cold side intercooler or charge pipe. The new throttle body sits down farther, so this doesn't fit anymore. This hits on the throttle body itself, and honestly this shape, being as kind of like winding and convoluted as it is really hard to install. The first step is chop this off, mock this up in the car, determine on the actual length that I need to extend this, tack it together and add in those bolts. For being the first functional part that I've ever welded out of aluminum, I'm definitely satisfied with the result. After welding on the bungs and hitting it with some MRO high solids paint, it's looking good, so I can install this pipe as well as all of the other charge pipes. Shifting from the intake side over to the exhaust, I can install the full exhaust and make a few improvements while I'm at it. I built this exhaust a few years ago and overall it's great, but there are a couple things that I want to improve. I'm adding a bracket to the downpipe that will secure it to the engine and ensure that it remains in the correct position over time. I also need to fabricate a new wastegate dump tube to replace the previous one that tore its flex section. This is actually the reason why I added the bracket to the downpipe. Misalignment is likely what caused the old flex section to tear, so having that bracket will keep it in the right spot and prevent further misalignment in the flex. And with that, we can call this episode a wrap. The big blockers are out of the way now, but I still need to upgrade my cooling fan and button up the chassis wiring at the battery before firing up MaxxECU for the first time. I know what you're thinking. How is this still not done? Hopefully videos like this give a little deeper insight into all of the mini projects and rabbit holes inside of the one larger project. I honestly thought this would be done 2 videos ago, but here we are. Thanks for watching, it really does mean a lot to me. See you next time.